Welcome to All Things Flamingo podcast with the Flamingo Group and myself, Beth Reilly. Join us as we discuss all things to do with our community, real estate, and all things Flamingo. Welcome and tune in for a flocking good time. Well, hello. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Today we have Louis Sorrell with MI Homes and my partner in life and business, my husband, Dan Burling. Hi, Louis. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you doing? I'm great. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. We really have noticed that there's no inventory. But new build's always a great opportunity for people. I mean, new build has its own sexiness, if you would say, and MI build has a great product.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There's certainly a lack of inventory in the existing market, and I think people are more and more becoming open to new construction.
Right. Mm-hmm. They're actually starting to throw location out the window because there's nothing to find in the location that they want. So they are moving further out to get a great product.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, and everything's relative, right? As urban sprawl continues to happen, we have to go where the land is. So, but I do agree it provides a great opportunity. There used to be, I would say, more of a premium for new construction just because it was new construction. I would argue that a lot of that has went away with the lack of inventory. Prices have went up in the existing market, which is pricing some folks out as well. So right. I think, again, new construction has become a great opportunity.
In fact, the prices of new build have been really quite competitive.
They have. And, the thing is, you've got a multitude of builders. You've got smaller builders, mid-size, and then you've got your large national builders. And most of us are publicly traded companies. So at the end of the day, we have to sell homes in whatever market is presented to us. So, that's what I always say, too. If the market takes a dip and we have to increase incentives, we have to dig in the bag of tricks to sell homes. We're going to sell homes. Mm-hmm. And that's hard for the average seller to do, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What it is, you talked a little bit about where you guys land in the market. What would you consider, what type of build are you compared to, if you could kind of just tell us what the different builds are?
Sure. So typically you'll have a smaller, locally owned, private owned, what I would call custom builder. It doesn't mean that they're building huge, extravagant homes. They're just smaller. They're more open to do whatever the client may want. Draw a plan on a napkin, take it to a draftsman, do a preliminary plan. They're less systematic and more flexible. And obviously they sell less homes. Then you'll have what I consider MI Homes in Minnesota to be, which is a semi-custom builder. We're scaled as a national builder in terms of national contracts, having a little bit more power, if you will, or appeal to the to vendors and subcontractors, because obviously we can offer them 800 homes a year versus maybe 50 to 100. So we go in and we buy the land on a mass scale. We provide multiple product lineups. We have our own title company, mortgage company, design center. So we really streamline the process. And then you have your fully national builders. And the difference with a national builder is, to me, obviously they offer a great product. They have a lot of locations. They accommodate a lot of price points. But the flip side of that is they're very rigid. If they don't have pricing for whatever that specific client is looking for, they're not going to be willing to make any adjustments to that home. So the fact that they're doing that has really catapulted MI Homes to the forefront of the Minnesota market, whether we intended it or not, because people do want some custom options, and it's not some large, we want to expand the foundation and do an 11-foot ceiling. Sometimes a custom option is just moving a wall. Sometimes it's adding a little wine station, in the kitchen. It's little things. And when the national builders say no, and we're willing to say yes, buyers are more open to buying a home with us.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I'll just interject too. That's there's several reasons why we are seeing buyers come that direction more. And I go to Louis all the time because he does such a good job of explaining these options. But I think people don't understand they're not familiar with that these options are available. And in this competitive market, we were representing a buyer this last weekend, and there were 9 offers in on it, and it escalated. Well, when you go into, MI, for example, you've got this, list of items that you can go ahead and custom, and then you're not going to get, hit out of nowhere on the pricing. And then the other issue that comes up, we'll probably talk about a little bit too, or you can, is, hey, I know I can buy or build, but what about selling my house? Yeah. And the speed with which that happens. And, I know you guys do a lot dealing with the contingency world too. So, but that whole flexibility of the type of customization is really, I think, surprising to people. Your design build or your design meetings, those can go for several hours. And, that it can be exhausting, but at the same time, it's very nice because they can go ahead and choose what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Dan. I would say, obviously, I'm a little bit partial because I was grandfathered into new construction, but I have owned a couple of existing homes, and I've built numerous homes of my own. And to me, the overwhelming feeling of building a new home, every home is custom in the sense that you've picked the outside colors, you've picked the outside elevation or aesthetic, you've picked all of the inside materials and colors. So you're customizing a new construction home, unless you buy something that might be what we call a spec or an inventory home. And quite frankly, I love the feeling of walking into a new home and not seeing all the things that I want to do in the future. I don't have to renovate the kitchen. I don't have to finish the basement, and plus those things cost so much money. I have people come in and they talk about renovations they've done, finishing the basement. I don't have to throw numbers out there, but oftentimes the cost for us to build it from scratch is half of what you would pay to renovate your house. And I do agree with you in terms of, and I think that's why this podcast is good. I think with the competitive existing market, more and more people are getting frustrated with having to, submit offers for $10,000 and $20,000 and $50,000 more for a house. As you said, when you come into a model, my first objective is to find out what you're looking for, what sort of price point you're looking to capture, and then sort of reverse engineer you into that. And you're right. There's no bidding war. There's no, you sit down and you craft the house from scratch. You put the upgrades you want in that house, and you finalize a price.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally find that very rewarding. And I think when you go through your first build, you do as well if you have the right people supporting you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've been through with several of the locations. How many did you say you have locations for MI?
I would guess we have 25 or so. I mean, it's grown exponentially over the last, we've been in the market. So just a tiny little backstory about MI Homes. So Hans Hagen was a big a local builder in the state of Minnesota for about 50 years with a very good reputation. So when MI Homes came in and purchased Hans Hagen in the Twin Cities, that was their entryway into the market. So I think last year we were roughly around 800 homes. So that's how we kind of entered this market. And we were happy to hold on to that name. Hence we have a what we call a Hans Hagen Villa collection, because the quality of his homes were so good. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how we came into this market.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference between like model inventory, spec home, spec inventory, things like that, when you go into, let's say, an MI site to look at different homes?
Yeah, so there's the first would be obviously a to be built home, where we literally sit down, we look at plans, we look at home sites, we price custom. I don't want to say custom, but pre-priced options in the home, and build the home from scratch. Now, as rewarding as it is, sometimes people don't want to wait 7 or 8 months to occupy their new home. So builders keep what they call either spec or inventory homes in their backlog. So for example, if you come into my community, I probably have 5 or 6 inventory homes at any one given time. Now, how that translates in the existing market is if you're out showing people existing homes and they're transferring or they've sold their home and they need to buy something and close on something within 30 to 60 days, then I can show you a new construction home that you can show as well. So most folks are willing to entertain new construction. If they don't want to wait for the entire build process, we can show them and sell them an inventory home.
Along that line too, I think a lot of people, we sell a lot of warranties on pre-owned homes. Yep. And there's some really terrific warranties on new build. If you could kind of let us know how that rolls.
Absolutely. So basically, it depends on where you build, but I will say this: Minnesota is a very consumer-friendly state, which is good. They want to make sure the builders have high integrity, they're held to a high level, and there's warranties in the house. So essentially what you'd hear in new construction, there's what's called a statutory warranty. Every builder is obligated to give a homeowner. Essentially, every builder is paying an insurance premium to the state of Minnesota in case they were to go out of business. So the state would then come in and take care of these warranties. But generally speaking, you've got a 1-2-10. So you've got a 1 year on faulty installation and faulty workmanship. You've got a 2-year warranty on HVAC, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and heating. And you will have a 10-year major structural warranty on all the major structurals, say the foundation, the framing, the roof. And then you also have your manufacturer's warranties on everything installed in that home. And I think it's a powerful thing, whether you've bought multiple homes, whether you're buying your first home. I think we all can relate to putting a big down payment on a house and hearing stories of, the roof went out or the furnace went out or there was some water in the basement. The last thing you want to do is move into your brand new house or a house and have issues. So I think that's a big selling point, that everything in that house is under warranty.
Right. We usually also do a lot of flags with people that we've worked with when we do new build with them. First of all, to help them get a vision for where they're going and what they're doing and what's the floor plan we've been talking about, right? And so we check everything on that. The other thing we tell them is to always communicate with their builder. So don't wait till the 2-year warranty is 2 weeks away. Start at 18 months. If anything comes up, you start talking to your builder right away. They can't fix something they don't know about.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And that's transformed over time. I've been selling new construction for 25 years, and there was a day when you would close and we would say, okay, keep a notepad next to your nightstand and write down all the issues, and we're going to come back in 6 months and fix them, and we're going to come back in a year and fix them. Well, most people don't want to be handcuffed into their home for 2 weeks while subs come in and out. So we've really streamlined that. First off, you have multiple walkthroughs before you close on the home, making sure the home is completely buttoned up. And then the minute you close, we have basically an online warranty department that you can access. And we tell them, use it aggressively. Don't wait. Get these items taken care of as soon as you can. And then we're going to come back 4 months post-closing, and we're going to walk through and look for nail pops, drywall cracks, dings, dents, scratches, caulk fixes, grout fixes, and we're going to button that up. And then we'll come back 11 months later and do a drywall certificate. We're fixing those final nail pops and drywall cracks. And you're right again, Beth. I tell everybody, use it aggressively, because what happens oftentimes is we get so busy, we forget about things. And then all of a sudden we call the builder back in a year and a half. I go, hey, wait, I never told you about the caulk that was coming, that was separating, my countertop was separating from the wall. Well, at that point, you're looking for the builder to do you a favor. And if they're not feeling like doing you a favor, they'll say, well, the warranty is up. So it's one of those deals where use it as much as you can. I built a new home and closed last April, and I guarantee you I've had 12, 15 trips from different vendors to do final tweaks. But now we're there. We're not quite at the 1 year, but we're there now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Gradual.
Yeah, it's all about communication. And my experience with MI has been very good because there are multiple meetings going on. We've got one right now out in the Waconia community, and they've had their design meeting. Now we're going to meeting the pre-build meeting, and I mean, there's a whole layout of the different options, the different meetings that go on, and again, you've got to. It's like what we talk about too. You got to communicate, and it falls on all parties just to keep this thing going. But my experience with MI has been very positive in that respect. So
good to hear, Dan.
Yep.
So as we were looking, some of the key players in new construction process, it's all pretty much the same on our side of the fence. As far as you have a buyer, you're the builder, you're the seller. Some of the other things that makes it different, and we've already touched on the warranty, but would you be considered who's the project manager? Is that another separate person? Okay.
It is. So generally speaking, you're going to have a new home consultant, which is me. My job is to meet clients at the model home, figure out what they're trying to do, show them how to make it possible. And so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to help you pick a home site. I'm going to help you pick a plan. I'm going to price in options and essentially write the contract. And then at some point after you've met with the design center and we've done a low voltage electrical appointment, so you can wire the house the way you want to, we're going to introduce you to the job supervisor or the project manager, if you will, and you're going to sit down with him at the model home. You're going to look at the plan. You're going to look at all of your design center selections. You're going to look at your electrical schematic, your survey. He's going to talk about the build process. He's going to talk about the different appointments you're going to have and obviously answer any questions you have as it relates to building the home. And then we're going to break ground. And although I'm the point for the build process, he is the person who's responsible for building your house. He's going to meet you for a pre-drywall appointment before after the wiring's been done, before the drywall gets slapped up. He's going to meet you for a new home orientation about 2 weeks before you close, where he's going to have a big roll of painter's tape. And again, you're going to look for the dings, dents, scratches, and all that. He's going to fix those items. You're going to meet him again for the day of closing walkthrough. So there's the new home counselor, and then there's the construction manager or project manager who actually builds the home.
Yeah, that's a great process. The thing that I think, and excuse me, Dan, I know you're about to talk. The thing that I noticed that is interesting getting people to the new build is that we do go through a process of talking about, do you want land? Do you want this pre-owned home? Do you want this neighborhood? We go through a lot before we get many times to where you are. And then there's always the guys that are looky-loos. They walk in and they want to buy. And we just spent 6 weeks with them looking at everything that they said they wanted. So I think that it's also something that might be, it's coming to the forefront of a lot of our sales cycles with people, is to say, well, let's check this out. And then now let's go look at some pre-owned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because we'll say that, have you considered that? And we've had a couple where the first comment is like, no, we want existing, we want this. Yeah. And then we had this one couple came to us and said, hey, we have an idea. We'd like to look at new construction. And we had brought it up a month prior. And we're like, well, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah.
There's some benefit to going with a builder now, especially with the high interest rates.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Yeah, it is interesting, Beth. Again, we have to sell homes. So whether it's high interest rates, saturation in the market, which that isn't the case now, we have to sell homes. So, it's what for example, I'll give you an example right now. So if you come in and purchase one of my prestige collection full-size 2 stories, I'm able to give you $20,000 in what we call flex dollars. So if you want to take $20,000 off the final sale price, if you want to use that money for financing, it's flex dollars. I also offer a $10,000 in closing costs if you secure a mortgage with our lender. And then lastly, I'm able to give you $5,000 off of lot premiums. So when you think about that, you're talking about a pool of $35,000. And to address the interest rate issue, so why would I use that money, Louis, for financing? Well, let's talk about it. So if the rate is 7% and I'm able to show you how to take the $10,000 in closing costs, take some of that flex money, and you can do what's called pay points, where you're paying basically 1% of the mortgage amount to buy the interest rate down. So most people don't understand this, but when I show them, listen, we can take $20,000 off the price and you can save $75 a month, or we can take that 20, roll it with the 10, and I can buy the interest rate from 7% to 6% and also pay your closing costs and save you $250, $375 a month. It's powerful. You know, otherwise you'd have to pay for that. If you're buying an existing home, you'd be forking up that money to buy the rate down. And essentially we're doing it.
Right.
We're paying for it. So it's a powerful narrative. I mean, you know, especially in a high interest rate market.
Yep. It really answers a lot. One thing, just to go back to just real quickly, on your first meeting with people, that new home consultant role, give folks an idea of how long that takes. I think, you know, when somebody comes in and does that, you know, and kind of the breadth of what you're doing in that first meeting.
Yep. So if they've never seen the community and really never have visited our website, at that point, it's really about trying to figure out what they're looking for. And also, let's be honest, what they can afford. All right. So not everybody has done this as long as I have, and I feel fortunate that I have. So if I have somebody come in and they're looking at the most expensive house, but nobody's broke out a payment for them, see, then I just go right to payment. See, what are you comfortable paying a month? Right. And I can break a payment out for them, and that house might be the one, or it might not be. So we're really trying to drill down to figure out what they're comfortable with as far as payment wise, so I can actually show them a house that works or some houses that work. So basically we're looking for that. We're looking for a floor plan. We're looking for a home site that works. And that's the initial meeting. Now, if they've looked at the website, they've seen a couple of our homes, they know they like the community, and they come in and say, listen, Louis, I want to price out the Victoria on lot number 105. So that's when I actually sit them down and we pick the plan, we pick the home site, and I systematically go through everything that's incorporated into a house. So we'll look at structural options. What sort of owner's bathroom do you want? Do you want a soaking tub with a separate shower? Do you want a 3x6 tub set in a deck with a separate shower? Do you want a huge walk-in shower? You know, and we'll do that with the kitchen. You know, do you want a standard kitchen layout, i.e. a freestanding range oven, microwave, dishwasher, refrigerator? Do you want something more extravagant? Do you want a double oven with a gas or electric cooktop, stainless steel direct vent, you know, and really customize the home, fireplace, railing, decks, finished basements, and really drill down and craft the house from scratch.
And that's about, what do you think, an hour and a half?
You know, if the technology's working right, yeah, you know, we can get them in there, you know, and it also depends on the size of the home. If someone's coming in to price out what we call our slab on grade carriage homes, which are a little smaller, I can typically zip through that within 45 minutes to an hour. If someone's coming in to buy a full-size 2-story with a finished basement and a morning room and a deck and a wet bar, you know, maybe a couple hours. But the goal there for me is to drill down, ask all the right questions so the buyer can reconcile price at that meeting. Because what we don't want to have happen is for them to go to the design center and have a $20,000 surprise. That's a really difficult way to start a relationship. So I always say, thank you for bearing with me, but the only way I know how to do this is to be thorough. So when you leave here today with a pricing document, you're going to know the prices on everything you want. You can go home and plus minus at your leisure and really craft the final price that you want.
That's what I've seen happen is people will go home and they've got a good understanding of it, and they'll, plus minus, like you said, they'll come back and they've got a better handle on it than anybody by the time they show up at the next meeting.
They do. And you know what? The builders have become really good at giving them tools. I mean, I would welcome anyone to visit the MI Homes website. I mean, when you visit the Valley Crest website, you can look at every plan. You can look at the front elevation or front aesthetics for every plan. You can look at the available home sites. You can modify the plan if you want to finish a basement, if you want to add a morning room, if you want to customize the kitchen. You can look at our design center link and find out what standard countertops are included and what the upgrades are. I've literally had people come in with a printout. Here's the exact plan we want. Here's the lot we want. Here's the elevation we want. Here's the upgrades we want. I love that.
Yeah,
that can really expedite. Yeah, that's when you know they've really done their homework.
Yep.
And ultimately they know their numbers too.
They do. And again, that's, a lot of our jobs these days there's no gatekeepers anymore. There's such a free flow of information that clients are able to go out there and look at all the different options. I think it's wonderful. It's empowering them to make the right decision.
Yep.
Okay, so the design center really, it works with this as the center milestones. You're also working with the outside, the inside, the bathrooms and kitchens. That seems to be your biggest kind of focal point when you're designing.
It is. And as I said, there's a multitude of ways to do this, but I really try and drill down. We've got our wonderful website, which has a link called Envision, which shows you all of, so if somebody comes in and picks a plan, they write a deal, we send them a link where they can look at every countertop, cabinet, flooring option, and they can, and it has prices as well. So we encourage them to play around with that before they go to the design center, even if it's just to pick somewhat of a color palette. Right. So when they go into the design center, they're not flying blind. And again, you're crafting this house from scratch. So it can be overwhelming, but we have incredible designers who will walk you through. They're not afraid to give you their opinion. If they think you're going to pick some colors that aren't going to work too well, they'll let you know. But at the end of the day, Beth, they make all the selections. They kind of tidy them in a nice little frame, take a picture of it. And I think it's very rewarding. I've done it multiple times. But yeah, it can be a little bit stressful, but with the right designer, a design professional, it's rewarding.
Yeah, well, I would have like decision fatigue in 6-7 minutes. I'd be like, I'm done. You picked that out, What's nice is we don't have a gajillion. It's like 5 choices or it's not too much.
But it does happen, and oftentimes, what our policy is, you have 5 days to go decompress and think about your decisions before you make a final decision. If you're in between your 2 different cabinet colors or countertops, we welcome you to go back out to the model, take another look, and most people take advantage of that as well.
And does that all take place pretty much in the buyer conference?
So you'll have the design center appointment. You'll have the low voltage electrical appointment, and then we move to the buyer conference. Okay. The buyer conference is really just a confirmation meeting. Really nothing new should be discovered there. It's a confirmation that this is the house we're building on the lot. Here's all of the structural options, design center options, electrical options, just basically a confirmation meeting before we dig a hole.
Okay. And then when does the pre-sheetrocking meeting come in?
Yep. So after the buyer conference, we'll dig a hole, pour the foundation, frame the house, put the roof on, the windows in, rough in the electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. And that's when the pre-sheetrock happens. We'll welcome the buyer to come out. Oftentimes that too is it's not a discovery meeting. It's just a confirmation meeting. If you really haven't added many low voltage options, it's kind of a formality. But if you're kind of a music junkie like I am, and you've added 15 speakers in the house, you want to make sure they're in the right locations. You want to make sure all the wiring is running to the right place. You want to make sure all the LED packages are roughed in. And so we welcome the buyer to come do that before we slap the drywall up. Because as you said before, Dan, if you don't recognize the problem and it's, before it gets constructed, then it's too late.
Did you really put in 15 speakers?
Quite frankly, I might have more than that.
I didn't know you did that.
And the only thing I think I said is I regret not putting more in. But
there you go. It's yours. It's custom.
Yeah, that's right. Well, like I said, again, what is your kink? What's important to you?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, my fiance and I love to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
We are both music junkies. The first thing we do when we wake up is put music on. Mm-hmm. And now with technology, you don't have to have bulky speakers sitting on the floor. And, people come in and they go, "Where's all that music coming from?" Well,
mm-hmm.
we roughen speakers right in the ceiling. You can't even see it.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm guilty. I did do that.
Well, that's good though. I mean, again, that's one of those things where I don't think people realize, oh, I can do that. It's not a cookie cutter.
Correct. Absolutely.
Not crack housing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yep.
So then they have, of course, usually I always think of pre-sheetrocking as electrical. So yeah, when you explain that as with the speakers, I tend to agree. Also, people that have, they have a hobby room of any sort. That's many times that also has its own lighting, electrical, things like that. What about, are you putting in regularly EVs chargers? Or I know all the houses are at 200 amp. Is that correct?
Yep, 200 amp service. More and more, we certainly offer an EV pre-wire. Mm-hmm. More and more, you see people doing that.
Yeah. I kind of think it would be, for me, I would always push everybody to do it just because of what's going on. It seems to be going that direction.
And it's certainly going to be, again, more cost effective to do it up front than to do it later. And especially depending on where your electrical box is. If the electrical box is in the garage, it wouldn't be as difficult. If your electrical box is in the basement, now it can really be, a big project. So mm-hmm. I would agree. Put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And when does the new home orientation come in?
Yep. So once the home is considered finished in the eyes of the job supervisor, he's going to welcome you to come out and do a new home orientation. Again, he's going to have the big roll of blue tape. He's going to walk you through that home. You're looking for nail pops, drywall cracks, dings, dents, scratches. You're looking for trim issues, anything that doesn't seem right. He's also going to do what's called the home maintenance checklist, where he's going to teach you how to use your furnace, when to change the filter, your air-to-air exchanger, when to change that filter. If you've added a humidifier, understanding how to use your humidifier, and all of the technology in the house. So all of those items will be buttoned up or identified in that new home orientation.
And there's also communication along the way. I mean, like like this one that I'm talking about in Waconia, we were notified that this pre-build meeting is coming. And I mean, there's like a constant communication from what my experience has been anyway, that you guys are constantly like, here's what's next, here's what it looks like. And of course, most people have been out to the site many times anyway on their own with their own pictures. But the communication again is the big piece.
Well, I'm glad you segued to that, Dan. We have what we call the buyer portal. I think it's absolutely ingenious. Every homeowner will receive a customized buyer portal that they can log into anytime. They can find all the executed signed paperwork. The builder comes out and takes professional pictures through the build process that they can access. They can access warranty claims there. There's a checklist that systematically tells you, it'll give you a pop-up. Okay, your second earnest money payment is due. Your buyer conference appointment is coming up. And it's even without verbal communication, somebody can follow along and know exactly where they are. Once you get towards the end of the process, have you secured your homeowner's insurance? All these types of things. And then after we close, you can access the warranty department there.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is. That's one of the things that the national builders have really done so well. I think one of the things that, one of the apprehensive, some people are apprehensive about building new construction because they just don't understand it. It seems overwhelming. They hear a story about, we signed for a price, and then all of a sudden 3 months later, there was a $30,000 surprise that we didn't anticipate. That does not happen in new construction. You will have a purchase price. You will go to the design center and make selections, have a final price there. And if you make any electrical and low voltage selections, you know exactly where you are price wise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And financial, I mean, Beth and I deal with this all the time. You just don't want financial surprises. And if you could drill down just a little bit on detail on this one, we'll have people that come in maybe with a lender that they've already worked with, and then they look at your lender. And one of the pros to, we talked about the interest rates and the buy down and everything, but could you talk a little bit about escrow, especially if something is being built, built up during the winter time, and then you've got in the spring, maybe you've got some sod and some things going in, how that whole escrow thing works and avoiding a surprise.
Yeah. So, when you're building a new construction home, years ago, you would have a separate lender, would have a separate title company, the builders on their own island. And let's be honest, not everybody's on the same page. So what the national builders have discovered, and we're, in conjunction with this, is we have our own mortgage company, we have our own title company, the design center, the division office, everything is consolidated. Not only do we give you incentive to use our lender, it allows everybody to be on the same page. And as you spoke about escrow, so if you close on your home after the weather has turned and there's frost in the ground, obviously there's certain things we can't install. Irrigation, landscaping, sod, driveways, sidewalks. And using MI Finance, the builder and MI Finance have come into agreement to not charge the builder, the client, an escrow. So what is an escrow? If all of those items have not been completed before the closing, a lender typically will say, oh, well, I need to know what the cost of all of those items are. And I'm going to require the buyer to pony up 1 to 1.5% of what those costs are and put it in an escrow account. And once the builder comes back in spring to install all those unfinished items, then they can chase me around and try and get their escrow money back. Mm-hmm. We just avoid all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And especially with Minnesota, I mean, you've got so much going on. I suppose it gets into the fall. When you're building in the fall is when this thing turns.
It is, and it's all weather related. I've seen sod get installed as late as, sometime in November. I've seen the weather turn in early October, late September. And that's one of the other things is, being with somebody who's going to communicate with you fully too, because at the end of the day, that is another unpleasant surprise at closing when somebody says you have to pony up $15,000 for the unfinished escrow work.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. And that's exactly why I bring it up, because, those are the things that you can't afford to do.
Mm-hmm. On the fun side, though, you do have some spec homes that are ready to go. So if we do have people, which they'll be contacting us to get to you, but if you do have people or you do have spec homes, what do you have right now for inventory? I saw one yesterday. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Currently, I have a full-size 2-story with an unfinished lookout basement, a 3-car garage stall, nicely equipped, completely finished. And we have it listed at $625,000. Again, that is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3-car garage home. And then I have others that are under construction. As you guys know, the market's very competitive right now, so it has been a challenge for us to hold on to inventory homes. But currently, that's the only one I have in Valley Crest that's completely finished.
Do you have any slab on grades?
I do. I have what we call a slab on grade carriage 2-story product, which is really a price point play because prices have ran away from the last, few years. So it's an opportunity for a client to come in and get a, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage stall, single family house in the low 400s.
Wow.
I also, yeah, it really is challenging. That used to be what we call a split level home, but now we've created the 2-story. So yeah, I do have that product lineup as well.
The one I liked on the 2-story that I saw yesterday was, just for anybody who's interested in buying, is it had the 4 bedrooms on the same floor.
Yep.
That was kind of a drawing point for this family. They liked having everybody on the same floor, and then they probably will finish off the basement, which it was not finished on that one, to put another bedroom or an office.
Yeah, so, and the killer for Beth, Louis, is that sunroom.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's like I said, my fiance and I built, and we absolutely love our sunroom. It's our we've got some oversized plants in there, and it's one of the first places we head to in the morning, grab some coffee, sit in the morning room, enjoy that weather, especially in Minnesota, where half the year you don't have that weather. So at least to sit in there and enjoy that sun beaming down on you is wonderful.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Hey, one more thing I want to bring up as I think about this last one. Could you go briefly into association versus non-association homes?
Yep.
Because I think sometimes people think, okay, I'm going to move into a community and it's going to be this. And I know there's some options.
Yeah. So every MI community is a little bit different, but so we offer a single family non-association maintained product where obviously the client is cutting their own grass, plowing their own snow, doing all of that. We also offer what we call a Hans Hagen Villa product. That can either be a slab on grade, meaning no basement, zero threshold, meaning no steps, association maintained home. So all of your living space is on the main level. We're cutting the grass, we're plowing the snow, we're installing and maintaining an irrigation system, and it allows people to still have autonomy. If they're not in town that much, they travel all over or whatnot, or they just don't want to do that work anymore. So you can build a full-size Rambler with a basement or a slab on grade, what we call villa, and it's fully association maintained. Same exact house you would build in the single family section.
Yep. And I know the couple that really was focusing on the non-association that I'm dealing with, their interest was, we don't want to have any kind of restriction necessarily on a garden size, or less restrictions on a garden size. And that's important when people are downsizing. I think, if they've been outdoors folks and that kind of thing, they've got an option.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, when you have a HOA and they're coming through once a week to cut the grass and things like that, you're a little bit more restricted. They don't want a fence to deal with, negotiate. They don't want to have you open your garage so they can have access to the irrigation control panel. And so that might lead you towards more of a single family home. But for those who, don't mind not doing that work, that villa product is one of our most popular products.
Nice. Very nice.
I bet it's hitting a certain demographic.
It really is. And that's like I said, it's funny because Hans Hagen really kind of customized that plan. He kind of created that plan from scratch. And now that you have the baby boomers retiring, it is very, very popular.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This has been very informative. Is there anything else that we've forgotten or you'd like to add on?
No, I just appreciate you guys bringing it up. As Dan and Beth, we've done some deals together, and you guys are as thorough as it gets. When I give a referral, I take it personally because I want people to be treated the same way I treat my clients, and I have no problem referring you guys. You're very thorough. So obviously highly recommended. Anybody who's looking for new construction, reach out to Dan and Beth. They can get in contact with me, and we will certainly take great care of you.
Thank you. The other thing we have to offer is we do have a guide. So you saw some of what we put up for the deck. We also have a guide for you. So if you're interested in learning more about NewBuild and you'd like to just go through the process, we have a printed piece of material or a PDF. So contact us. I believe we're going to have a link below, and we'd be glad to get you the guide. So we would just need your email.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Louis.
My pleasure, guys. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to hear some of the music out there.
We'll have to have you over.
I just invited ourselves over, Beth.
All right. Thanks again. If you're interested in working with the Flamingo Group, again, you know how to reach us. We're always there for you, and we'd love to help you with any kind of new build. Louis has been a terrific partner, and we'd like to go further and see maybe if we can sell that villa. So not the villa, actually, it was the 2-story. So
All right.
again.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.